All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the USC Capstone Project workshop meeting. So today it's not going to be that long of a meeting, honestly. We just have like a couple questions from y'all lined up that Professor Rust can answer. Professor Winston had something come up suddenly, but she says she might be able to join just to like be in the meeting, but I don't think she'll be able to answer any questions. But yeah, thank you so much, Professor Russ, for taking this time to, answer all of our questions. And hopefully, y'all get to learn a little bit more on how to approach your capstone projects. I mean, most of you have like, you could say we have like basically a month left until everything's tied up. But I'm gonna start like kind of like start like ending the capstone project process around mid-September. Start asking for submissions for presentations and papers. Just remember, they don't have to be fully completed, They, I mean, the papers themselves, they should be like drafted and revised and stuff, but the results themselves don't need to be out because I know in the research project, a lot of the time you need to be able to wait, and I don't want to like make your research projects have to fit in this time frame. So yeah, just always let me know if you have anything that you're worried about or if you have any questions about your capstone project or anything in neuroscience general. And okay, we can get started with the questions. Professor Russ, are you ready?
Hey, yeah, I hope everyone hears me okay.
Yeah, 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 we can hear you
I don't
well.
have the best. Oh, perfect, perfect. So yeah, let's go.
All right, awesome. So I think the first question is something that applies to a lot of you. I mean, I got it a lot. I kind of paraphrased all of these different questions. Um, the one of them was, how do you approach citations? Do you use a citation software?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, I want to say first that everyone does kind of their own thing, right? So there's not like a solution that everyone uses. But I had pretty good experiences with a tool called Zotero. I can also type it into the chat. I think the advantages of that is if you use Google Chrome or Safari, there's like a extension that you can use, so you can basically directly um, add the papers to your library. And it also works online, so you can collaborate with other researchers and so on. So I found this, it's also most of the features. So I found this to be the best tool. But again, I mean, my personal preference. I'm sure there's other tools that are also good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I use Zotero too because I think it's very convenient, like what you said, when using Google Chrome. So if any of y'all decide to use Zotero, you can reach out to either one of us to like uh maybe get it set up. I mean, it's not that hard of a process. You could probably just find it online. But thank you for the answer. Another big question that we I got was, how do you go about finding databases? I know a lot of the time it's the problem with this is like it's like the access you have, but like I guess for like a high schooler, how would you recommend we go out and find databases for like maybe MRI scans or stuff like that?
Yeah, that's also a great question. And generally, it can be complicated. So it really depends, right? So I work mostly with RNA sequencing stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if you, for example, want to go about data for RNA sequencing, then there are actually really good resources. They're called NCBI. So it's from NCBI. There's like a subdomain. It's called GEO, like GEO. And they're basically, most people upload their data sets, at least the raw data and some of the process data just up there. So that's pretty straightforward. For stuff like MRI data can get a little bit more complicated. There's something called Zenodo that maybe some people have heard of.
Hmm.
That's generally a repository of all types of data. And I mean, my recommendation is usually most papers nowadays, if especially if it's like new papers, they have some sort of a data availability statement. So let's say if you see MRI data, usually there should be some statement where you could find this data and how you could access it. But again, I think nowadays for anything related to something like RNA sequencing, proteomics, and stuff like that, it's easier for imaging-based data because they're so big. Um, it can be a bit complicated. You can always contact the authors, but yeah, it can be a little bit tricky and take some time because sometimes they don't respond. And I'm sure you guys have experienced some of the shortcomings there.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess, I mean, we're all high schoolers, Not a lot of people don't expect high schoolers to like start research this young. So I mean, props to all of y'all for getting started this early, but that does come with, its setbacks with like limited access and stuff. So, sometimes the only way to work around, you gotta keep trying, or sometimes you gotta find like another maybe like less uh less optimal but available option. But yeah, if you have any problems, reach out to either one of us. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand on Zoom and I'll let you ask them, or you can just send them through chat. And also if you have something to like if you have to say something that branches off of Professor Rust's responses, you can also raise your hand and just like talk. Delina just had a question. Does MLA work for citations or APA? I mean, I personally use APA, but I heard both work.
So this is the citation style, right?
Yeah, this
You're
is
referring to?
yeah.
I mean, generally anything works. I think usually it depends. Let's say if you do research, it depends on the journal. Every journal has their own citation style that they recommend. And actually, another advantage of Zotero, I'm doing some kind of advertisement
Hmm.
for them, but that you can also choose the citation style. This saves you a lot of time
Hmm.
because at the end you need to decide which style you want to use, and this is pretty straightforward to do in Zotero. So yeah, I would not worry too much about it. Also, to the point you just mentioned before, if you cannot find the database that or you find something that is promising, but you can't find the raw data, just check something else out. There's so many papers. Don't waste too much of the time with contacting authors, waiting for a week or something like that. Just try to go kind of the easiest way.
Hmm. I completely agree with that. Yeah, and like also Zotero, I mean I use Zotero too, so it is really convenient. Like with the click of a button, you can switch it from MLA, the whole papers, all the citations from MLA to APA. So yeah, and it honestly depends on what type of paper, what paper like what journal you're pursuing. But if you have any questions specifically on that, like when it in regarding to like citation formatting, once we get closer to like tracing publication, then I can help you along the way as well. Another really good question, or I guess like I said, a question that I kind of bunched into one was, I guess this is for all the people who are writing a literature review, but how do you start writing for a literature review? So in like for the structure of a literature review, does a researcher put in their own thoughts during like the bulk where they're like do they just summarize a bunch of research papers or do they just talk about their own thoughts in the discussion or do they kind of integrate it together where they like kind of talk about the paper and then talk about their own thoughts?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. And again, I just give you here more or less my opinion.
Hmm.
It's not, I'm not saying you have to do it this way,
Hmm.
but I would say that I think at your stage, in research, usually it might be pretty difficult to probably assess the entire scientific landscape, right,
Hmm.
on a certain topic, or to understand what is noise and what is like really important.
Hmm.
Um, I think what is kind of a easy way is to look at good journals and look at similar reviews in a similar topic. I mean, it doesn't need to be exactly the same, right? But let's say if you want to write a review, I don't know, about Parkinson's disease, maybe there has been for sure a paper in the recent years by known people who wrote about that, and you could just read two, three reviews and see how they structure it, which literature they cite. And I mean, the idea is not to copy, obviously, but I think the idea is to kind of get a better understanding of what has been done in the past, which labs have might have contributed mainly, and I think this usually helped me in the past. And at some point, I mean, you always get better and better with that. At some point, you start understanding which are the important labs in a certain field, what to focus on, and yeah, I think that's at least for me something that was pretty successful.
All right, awesome. Um, Another question that I primarily got. I mean, I have two more in my set right now, so we can just go through these two. Um, do you have any I'll keep this. Actually, I'll do this one last. Um, Let me see. Okay, so this is a one that applies to basically all of us. And it's a very important question, one that I kind of tried to address throughout the course of this club, but I just want to hear from you. When you're researching and when you're writing papers, you have to read through countless articles and research studies. And that's is it takes a lot of time. So how do you, Professor Rust, read through papers efficiently so that you have a deep enough knowledge and a good understanding to like even like put them as citations, but not waste any time?
Well, yeah, that's that's difficult to answer.
Mhm.
I my general recommendation is that, reading a whole paper is quite a commitment, right?
Hmm.
This reading a whole paper takes probably several hours if you want to go through all the details. So this obviously is quite inefficient. I usually think like screening through the abstract, um, just looking what is the main finding, or even sometimes just looking at the title and getting a few ideas, can already be helpful. And again, I would often work in these type of situations with like reviews, because I think reviews, they sometimes have a really good way in summarizing a study in one sentence. Um, but yeah, it's a tricky one, honestly. Even for me, I also have sometimes the feeling I read now 4 or 5 papers, didn't write a single sentence.
Hmm.
Feels like a waste of time. But be encouraged. I think at the end, you're learning something from it, right? So don't always, you know, it's not always like a one-to-one kind of, every sentence that you write down. Uh, and if you didn't write anything, then it didn't help at all. I think you shouldn't see it this way. Technically, everything you do, everything you read probably helps you understanding something better.
Hmm.
But yeah, I fully understand. I have this problem as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and hopefully a lot of you like I know some of you had some like a lot of research experience before joining this club. Some of you have never read a research paper at all, but I what I kind of tried to emphasize throughout the course of this club was just reading through a research paper just so that you can get used to like everything. And I mean I don't know about you, but I feel like it definitely like did help me structure myself or like prepare myself better for conducting my own research or writing my own papers because just the process of reading through research papers was honestly the hardest part for me when I first got started. Here's like one final question. I think this is another like a tough question that a lot of people have, but um, I mean this is a very general question. Do you have any recommendation for just the entire research process in general, especially for high schoolers who might not have a lot of resources? I mean, we kind of already answered this for the database question, but yeah, do you have any recommendations for high schoolers in the on the research process in general?
Yes, I think we tend, all of us, and I see it not only for high schoolers, but even PhD students, sometimes postdocs. I think many people think too complicated, so they try to answer a question which is way bigger than their resources are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of always need to be realistic with like, okay, what is the scope? How long does the project take? And how realistic is it to answer that? And I think there are two options. Let's say if you really want to do something like by yourself, right, and you have your limited resources, then I think it's important to define, what do you include in the project, what do you exclude, um, and what can be realistic or not. And sometimes you need to be kind of realistic and, start small and then make it more complicated and bigger if you have good results. Or I think the other option is to team up with someone who has more resources, right? So you can contact labs, and you could, if you have a really specific research question, sometimes you'd be surprised how open many labs are in helping you. Because I think what we all are a little bit annoyed of is like if someone writes with ChatGPT like a generic message of, hey, I would like to join the lab because it's interesting. But I think if you really like work on something and you see someone working for 10, 20 years on that, I think you quite often might be surprised that people answer and are actually interested in at least jumping on a call with you. So I guess these are kind of my two suggestions. Either keep it like super simple, be realistic, and define what you want to include and exclude, or try to team up with someone if you want to have it bigger, with more resources.
That's awesome. And I definitely agree too. Uh, I'll address Shriya's question and then I can let you talk, Samian. But Shriya's question was, Could you remind us of the general requirements in terms of length and presentational versus paper component? So, for the capstone project, um, like uh, like I said last time, I don't want there to be a specific limit on like you can't have over 20 slides. You can't have over this amount of pages, like this amount of paper. Um, I mean, this is for the capstone project. I'm not gonna put any limit. If Now when it comes to writing the paper, if you already have like a specific set journal that you really want to publish in, I mean, I doubt any of y'all do, but if you do, then you can start formatting your paper to fit that journal. But if you don't, or if you're just conducting research right now and you're not really thinking about that, then write your paper in whatever way is the most comfortable for you. I mean, for some of you, you're not going to even have your full results yet, right? So just write the paper in the way that's most comfortable for you, and we can kind of like cut it down or make it longer depending on where you're trying to publish later on. But right now, there's no limit. I don't want there to be any limit. And for the presentation as well. The presentation, however, I need it to, I'm going to try to keep the recording under 10 minutes. So when you make the presentation, uh, when you're presenting it to me, I want that recording of you presenting it to me to be under 10 minutes because I don't want any video over like 10 minutes to be up on our website. I just wanted to equalize all the video like runtime, I guess. So yeah, presentation, keep it under 10 minutes, but like this amount of slides you can do however much you want. And then the paper, just do whatever's comfortable. We can figure the rest out like once we get closer to publishing. All right. Okay, Samian.
Yeah, I had two questions. I'll ask the first one first. For both you and Professor Rust, what is like your biggest motivator when you like start doing research? Like, what keeps you motivated to keep going?
Professor Rust, you can answer this one first.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I guess maybe it's true for all of us. I guess that for me, there was always like this curiosity. I was always curious to kind of, do this experiment and you don't know what the outcome will be. And it's just, you spend a lot of time and trying to figure out like a little mystery. I guess this is kind of still true, to a certain extent. I think also we have a lot of flexibilities, which you don't have in many jobs. I think we, can always design a new research question or work on several different projects, and there's always new tools that come out, and you can basically test them and start from scratch. So I think that's kind of motivating, and you also work always around relatively young, motivated people. Which is also nice. If you go to the corporate world, you'll see, most people are a bit older, bit more frustrated, and I guess you don't have that atmosphere that you can have in a good research setup. But again, this all depends where people end up. I'm sure there's also good companies and bad labs, but yeah, this was for me always the motivator.
For me, I mean, I'm obviously like much less experienced than Professor Russ. So, but like for the very few amount, like the very small amount of time that I've done research, the main thing that kept me motivated was the fact that like, um, I guess whenever I'm doing research, I just feel like I'm somehow contributing to society. Like, I guess that's a very general like answer, but it is a big topic. Like, especially now that I'm co applying to college and I'm talking to a lot of my friends and we're talking about careers, it's very unique like that. Like we as scientists, we want to like discover something. Like when I talk to a lot of my friends, a lot of them don't really want to like contribute, progress, or discover anything. They just want money. And I feel like to me it was kind of a default, like it's natural to like want to improve or like progress the state of science. But I guess that's not it for everyone. So we're pretty unique, and that just like that feeling overall of like that want to progress or like maybe contribute something to the world is basically like the overall thing that keeps me motivated. Obviously, like when I'm up at night and I have to like cite a bunch of stuff, I get demotivated and it's like annoying sometimes. But in those cases, the best things is just to build a habit and discipline and just like do it. But like yeah, if you have that big motivation in the background, it helps you a lot. Well, that's what helps me a lot. Yeah.
Like, thank you guys. And then my second question was, do you have like an example of a presentation and paper, like maybe yours or another student's for the capstone project that you can like give us as a resource?
Yeah, I have mine from last year. I can definitely send that out to all of y'all. I mean, I can also like make a video kind of going over like what I did for last year if that might help too. So yeah, um, I can definitely do that. It's also on the club. If you go to our club website and go to 2024 resources, there's a tab that says Capstone project, I think, and then it has like five or six capstone projects from last year. So you can look over those as well. But I'll send y'all all my presentation and my paper, and then a video kind of going over how I approached my capstone project, just so you can have like a little POV of what I did, and maybe that could help you.
Okay, thank you.
hmm Um, hold up, someone just texted in the chat. Uh, yeah. Okay. Well, honestly, that's basically it for today. Hopefully we have something to, um, I mean, hopefully y'all learned something or at least got a little bit more motivated from this. I mean, this is just a workshop that we did like online, like in real time. But obviously, if you have any more questions, just always feel free to ask any of us, and we'll try to help. And then I'll send out this. I'm recording this meeting so you can like look over this too. I'll post that on YouTube. I'll try to make a video on like how I approached the capstone project last year, and I'll send out my capstone project from last year as well. There's no attendance form for this meeting. Um, but yeah, as a reminder, I think I don't have the calendar up with me right now, but I think around September 15th, that's when I'm gonna start asking for like submissions for the presentation, and then the 2 weeks following September 15th, so like the last 2 weeks of September, basically. I'm gonna like schedule one-on-one meetings with each of y'all that are doing the capstone project, and then I can record and have your presentation recorded, and then I can start setting up like a website for that too. And if you already have like a specific journal that you want to publish in, please let me know. And if you're starting to like kind of brainstorm, like have ideas of where you want to publish your research or literature review or spotlight article, whatever you're doing, just let me know. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you the best of luck in your capstone project. Like I say all the time, just let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll send out resources pretty soon. I'll try to send them out by Monday. So yeah. Thank you so much. You can stay behind if you have any other questions, but that's it for now. Thank you.